wife Chetawan, and thank you for coming. My name is Alvin. I'll be your MC for tonight. Presenting Ajahn Brahm.
That's me.
And a quick biography before we start about Ajahn Brahm for those of you who don't know him or this is your first time watching him. Ajahn Brahm was born in London in 1951. And he's considered himself a Buddhist at the age of 16 and went on to study theoretical physics at the University of Cambridge. And then after that, became a school teacher for a year. And decided to go to Thailand after that to be a monk. And was
The kids drove me crazy. I had to leave the world.
So Ajahn Brahm ordained as a monk at Wat Saket in Bangkok, and then later on studied under Great Ajahn Chah for 9 years, and then was invited to be the abbot of Bodhinyana Monastery in Western Australia in 1983. Kind of like trying to memorize everything. And he's still now the abbot of Bodhinyana Monastery as well as the spiritual advisor of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. As most of you would know, he's a very, very good speaker, a very funny one as well, who makes Buddhism very easy to understand. And tonight, Ajahn Brahm will be talking about harmony among monks, nuns, and the lay people. So take it away, Ajahn Brahm.
Very good.
Well, I forget one thing. Sorry, Ajahn. Yes, the reason why Ajahn Brahm is here is also to fundraise for the nuns monastery called the Dhammasara Monastery in Western Australia. Because there are many, many women who want to be nuns. There are not many monasteries around for them to be nuns. And there's Dhammasara Monastery now that is missing quite a few buildings, and we need more of these buildings so that people can be nuns. And some of you women here can be more free, can shave your heads, and live the good life as a nun at Dhammasara Monastery.
Or if you're a husband, you can volunteer your wife.
And so there are donation boxes out there for you to donate.
Your wife.
And money. So this is why I don't understand.
How many of you women go home tonight and your husband will say, why did you become a nun? Why did you become a nun? Or when did you become a nun? It'll be badgering you. But no. To be serious, the talk this evening is about harmony between Sangha, lay people, and everybody else. But first of all, that some people might not know how I ended up studying with such a great monk like Ajahn Chah in Thailand. I went to Bangkok. Who didn't know Ajahn Chah? You know what happened? Because I was an English monk. When I heard that there was a very famous monk whose name meant tea, Ajahn Chah, I thought that's a monk for me. Because Ajahn Chah means tea. And it was true. We were very happy together for a long time, living in peace and harmony. Now, I'm not quite sure why the committee selected this talk this evening, the harmony between the Sangha and lay people within. Because I thought that in Malaysia you have a lot of harmony between the monks and nuns and all the lay people. And as long as it's very important to keep that harmony, because if you get angry with me, I'm in big trouble. If my attendant gets upset at me, I will have to walk home tonight. It's a long way back to the BGF. And if I upset all of you ladies as well, there'll be no one to feed me tomorrow morning.
So harmony between me and you guys is really important. So in order to create harmony between the Sangha, this incredible institution which was founded by the Buddha, you may not know, in the history of our world, there's very few institutions that have lasted as long as the Buddhist Sangha, the community of monks and nuns. 2,500 years has been this Sangha throughout our world. And sometimes you wonder, how come it's lasted that long? Until you see this unbroken lineage of monks even here in Kuala Lumpur today. One of the reasons is because the great brilliance of a Buddha in teaching people how to live in harmony together. And one of the most important reasons is within a Sangha, the way it was originally devised by the Buddha and the way that we practice it over in Australia is that we have this flat management system. For those of you who are in business, for those of you who study how Google gets so famous and so successful, they have flat management, which means everybody works together in harmony. So when we have our decisions, it's not, I don't tell people what to do. I am not the boss. Instead, we all have to meet together, discuss things, and when we find out who's in the majority, the idea is for all the good monks to put aside their selfishness and put aside their pride, thinking they are right, and just to go with the majority so we can make a decision in harmony. Because we're trying to get rid of such things as pride and this conceit, always thinking you're right and other people are wrong. And that brings me to the first story of harmony. Now many of you keep listening to my talk when I come to KL. And if you don't listen to them here, you listen to them on YouTube. So many of you have listened to hour after hour, days of my talks, probably even a year load of talks, because there's that many on the internet. There's over 1,000 talks available on the internet. So sometimes I do have to repeat stories. And sometimes when people complain, Ajahn Brahm, why do you repeat the stories? It's because you haven't understood them yet. If you had, then it wouldn't be too much of a problem to me. So the old stories from an old monk. And this was one of my favourite stories, for harmony within a community, or especially within a family. And I tell this every time I perform wedding ceremony. So I tell the people of the story of the husband and wife who after lunch one afternoon went for a walk in the park. And as they were walking hand in hand, they heard the sound. Yes, you know what's coming, don't you? Quack, quack. Quack, quack. And straight away the wife said, oh darling, can you hear that? That's a chicken. And he said, what do you mean a chicken? That's a duck. She said, no, that's a chicken, love. No, it's a duck. They went quack, quack again. And there was a duck, he said. She said, no, I'm sure, that's a chicken. He said, it can't be, it's a duck. She said, but it is a chicken. He said, no, it's a duck. D-U-C-K, duck. And then she started to cry. Oh, it's a chicken. And then he remembered why he married her and what's most important in life. So he looked into her eyes, and water was welling up in her eyes. He squeezed her hand gently and said, "Darling, you know, I think you may be right. That is a chickie." And he went quack, quack again. And she said, "Thank you, darling." And they carried on that walk without an argument, and that evening he got a hot dinner. And the moral of that story, which we keep forgetting, what's most important in life? To be right or to be in harmony? Harmony, yes. What's most important for husbands is you get fed that evening, you get a meal, and the one that talks to you and doesn't make you sleep outside in the garden or wherever. So, harmony is the most important. And number 2 is sometimes we're so sure that we are right, and it turns out we're wrong. Just because it goes quack, quack does not mean it's a duck. That could be a chicken from Japan, from Fukushima. It's amazing what can accidents can do to a chicken if they go quack, quack. So that means don't always think that you are right, because that is what causes so much disharmony in a family, or in a monastery, or in a temple, or a Buddhist group. So instead of always thinking you're right, you listen to other people. When you listen to others with your ears open, putting aside your own ideas, it's amazing what you can learn. And how things which would usually give you arguments, you can find ways of reconciliation. Once, there were 2 sisters. They were arguing over a single orange. There was only one orange in the kitchen, and both sisters wanted it. And one sister said, "It's my turn. You had the last orange." And the other sister said, "Yes, I did have the last orange, but you had 2 before me." And so you know what they did? They did compromise. They cut the orange in half. And one woman took her half of an orange, peeled it, and threw the flesh in the dustbin because she needed the peel to make a cake. And the other one took her half of the orange, threw the peel in the dustbin because she wanted to eat the flesh. If they had only have talked to each other beforehand why they needed the orange, one woman could have had all of the peel, the other one had all of the flesh without an argument. So that's a classic story of don't argue. Find out what people want first of all. Why? What's going on? What's the underlying what you want? And then it's amazing how often we can come to conciliation when we both win twice as much more than when we had arguments. So we're trained to do this in the Buddhist Sangha, to listen to each other. And even though I'm the big boss monk, I've been in my monastery longer than anyone. Even the kangaroos there were born after I was the oldest monk, the oldest member. But even I, whenever there's any decision to be made, we all get one vote. And sometimes I am outvoted. Not often, because in a democracy, you can always be sneaky. And by sneaky, I don't mean bribes, no corruption, no telling a monk, if you vote with me, I'll give you extra alms food in the morning, or I'll let you go here. It's a nice blessing at your favourite restaurant. You can come with me if you vote for me. No, don't do anything like that. There's no bribery or corruption. This is not the government. Oops. But what I do, this is how you can work the system to create harmony and still get your own way. Because Buddhist monks, I think actually we invented psychology. And we've been meditating, for ever since the time of the Buddha. We've been investigating the mind. We know how it works. We are the experts in getting things out of you without you realizing it. It's true. They're even getting donations. How many of you coming to the dinner tomorrow night? Oh, no, the lunch. Oh, few, not that many. You'll hear a story. The story of the bar in Australia. No, let's not call it Australia. Let's call it in KL. A bar in KL. And the bartender, the one who serves the drinks, he used to be the weightlifting champion of Malaysia. He was a big guy with muscles all over him. Even his ears were full of muscles. And he had a challenge. Whenever he made like a cocktail for someone, or a drink which included squeezing a lemon. Once he squeezed the lemon, if anyone in that bar could get 3 drops out of that lemon after he squeezed it, they would get 3 drinks. He was such a tough, strong guy. But once he squeezed that lemon, there was nothing left in it at all. And some guys came in there. They were professional footballers, professional boxers, tough guys. They would take the lemon, and once it was squeezed, and they'd try and squeeze drops of juice out of it, they couldn't even get 1 drop out. And then one day, this little girl came into that bar and said, I want to take that challenge. She was only about 4 foot. She was very thin, but she had this t-shirt on it, Jhana Grove, and on the back, may peace, be kind, be gentle. And she said, I will try that challenge. And the bartender laughed at her. You're such a thin, small Malaysian girl. How can you beat these big, tough guys? She said, I want to take the challenge. So the bartender took the lemon and squeezed it. He squashed it. He pulverized it. And all the juice came out. And then he gave the lemon to this little girl from the Klang Valley. And she took that lemon and she squeezed it. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, 7 drops came out. And the people couldn't believe this. Tough guys couldn't get any drops out, but she got 7 drops out. And they asked her, who are you? Who do you work for? And she said, I'm on Ajahn Brahm's nuns monastery fundraising committee. I can squeeze more drops out of any of you. That's a harmony. And actually how we can actually get things done. Because don't ever argue, because that creates a lot of disharmony. What we need to do is what we call marketing. This is neat, and it's very easy. Because actually, when you said the introduction, when I first went to Perth in 1983, I was not the abbot. There was another monk who's senior to me. So for 10 years, he was my boss. Have you got bosses at work? Do they always tell you what to do? They don't have to. you can sneakily get them to do what you want to do. It's very simple. This is how it works. So we were building this monastery over in Perth, and I was the main builder. So I would tell this monk, why don't we build a hut just over here? And he would say, no, that's a stupid idea. Don't be ridiculous. We can't build anything over there. Because a boss always has to say no. That's what a boss is, always saying no, unless it's his own idea. You know what bosses are. So he would say no. Now I knew psychology. I knew the way of the mind. So I would not argue. If you argue, you destroy harmony and peace. I know that once you said something, it's gone inside the brain. And the next thing is, please, you must turn off all your mobile phones. because if a mobile phone goes off when a monk is giving a talk in a temple, that's such bad karma. Not for you, for your mobile phone. In your mobile phone's next life, it will be reborn as a parking meter. This is the lowest form of life.
Technology instruments. So tell your phone, be quiet, otherwise you'll be reborn as a parking meter.
So back. So the abbot will forget about it, and I will keep quiet for about 2 weeks. Now this is your problem. You don't know how to influence people. You always have arguments trying to get your own way. Shut up. Be quiet. Because you know that is in the subconscious. After 2 weeks, I'd reinforce it. I'd say to him, no, I've been thinking, why don't we build a hut over there? Now he would forget that I said that 2 weeks ago. It's amazing, he would say the same thing. It's a stupid idea. No, it won't work. We can't do that. I wouldn't argue. I'd be quiet. I know the message is being reinforced. Sometimes I'd have to do it another time in 2 weeks' time when I knew he'd forgotten it. Sometimes 2 times was enough. And this always worked every time. That he'd be walking with me and he'd say, I've just had an idea. We should build a hut over there. Now the trick is, don't say I told you so, that spoils everything. If he's your boss, you have to tell him, wow, what a wonderful idea of yours. How do you think of that? Flatter them. You get your own way, you have harmony, he doesn't suspect a thing. So you can try that when you go home. Tell your husband, darling, I need a new dress. Well, he said, you've got lots of dresses already. Don't argue. You've done the job. 2 weeks' time, reinforce it. Darling, I think I need a new dress. He said, no, your cupboard's full. We don't need any new dresses. You're pretty as you are. Now what husband is saying? In 2 weeks' time, maybe reinforce it a third time. And you'll be surprised. He'll come up to you and say, you know, I think you need a new dress. Oh, it's so kind of you, darling. And that way you guys can get whatever you want, whenever you want it. That's how it works. So when you have psychology, you don't need this harmony. You can get your own way without people suspecting. But with the harmony between the lay people and the monks, now sometimes that you, and it's good, you expect something from the Sangha, and we're supposed to be representatives of the Buddha. So we're supposed to be living a very simple, peaceful lifestyle. So if you see monks who drive in big cars, Mahayana monks can do that because they're big vehicles. But us Theravada monks, we're not allowed big vehicles, we have to use small vehicles. You know, once I did sit in a stretch limousine. You know what happened? Because this is one of those stories. It's amazing what you get up to as a monk. We do things which you never get to do. Because it was a sad occasion. It was actually, I think it was a Malaysian couple they had a child, and the child died after a few weeks. And they wanted to do something for their child, give it the best send-off they possibly could. So instead of getting an ordinary hearse to take the coffin to the crematorium, they got a stretched limousine for the little baby. And because I was doing the chanting, they put me in the limousine. Now, I was sitting in this big limo, and had a little coffin, very small thing, in one seat. I was on the opposite side. And in front was two uniformed funeral directors in nice suits and hats and everything. And so whenever we stopped at the red light, people would turn around. Who's in the limo? Who's in the limo? They couldn't see the little coffin, it was too low down. But they saw me. I'm going to have fun anyway. But anyway, back to small vehicles. You do expect monks to live a humble, simple lifestyle. And that's really, really important. Because even this is how we've been taught. Now, never ask for anything. Because there was one story from the time of the Buddha that these monks, they were building all sorts of stuff and they were asking for so much stuff from the villagers. They were always asking for something. So much so that everybody got afraid of the monks. They're afraid if they saw a monk, the monk would ask you for something. So it got so bad, according to the description, that when they saw a brown cow coming in the distance, they got in their houses, shut the windows and hide. That's how paranoid they were. The monks always asking for things. So they're not allowed to ask for things. Which is why sometimes you have to come and ask, monk, is there anything you need? Someone actually, Alvin's sister asked me the other day, I was coming back from our retreat centre to our monastery. And as soon as I got to the monastery, all these people waiting to speak to me and have photos. Why do you take photos of me? I'm not Justin Bieber. I'm not Lady Gaga. I'm not old monk. I don't know why all these people waiting to take photos of me. And I need to take shower. I want to go toilet. They won't let me go. Another photo, please. There's a lot of pain being a monk. That happened to me in Hong Kong once. I gave a talk, and after the talk, a lot of people wanted to take photo and sign books. I had to go toilet. And eventually I managed to get into the toilet. And as soon as I went into the toilet, the men's toilet, there was a fellow just finished. And he said, Ajahn Brahm, can I take photo, please? Inside the toilet. True story. They don't give me any pics. Even questions on meditation. I just come back from the United States, giving a lot of talk. You know how long a flight that is from the United States. I was to fly Singapore. I was jet lagged, I was tired. And as soon as I was there, there's all these people waiting for me inside the airport. Didn't give me any peace. And so I wasn't asking the good questions. They're asking me about Buddhism, about meditation, about really important stuff. And I was tired. So I decided the only place I could escape again was monks' toilets, or the toilets. Those of you who've been in Changi Airport, they're really nice toilets, and every toilet has toilet attendant. This is a true story. As soon as I went into that toilet, the toilet attendant said, "Are you Ajahn Brahm?" Oh no. He said, and I can't lie. I said, yes. And he asked me questions on his meditation. It's very good though, because he said he wanted to give me donation. And being a good monk, I don't receive anything. So I'll send it to you. So on a piece of toilet paper, that's the only paper we had there, I actually wrote down the address of Bodhiana Monastery. He sent 10 Singapore dollars. I thought it was so, because he's a toilet attendant, doesn't get much money. He was so faithful, he enjoyed the answers so much. He actually sent $10 to the monastery. I thought that's a wonderful donation. Those are the sorts of things which really melt my heart. It's very beautiful. But anyway, back to Alvin's sister. All the people waiting for me. She said, Ajahn Brahm, I know you can't ask for anything because you're a good man. Is there anything I can get you? And I thought, yes, for once there is. Can you please get me false beard, a wig, and dark glasses? So when I walk in my own monastery, I can hardly get to the toilet without anybody recognising me. But no, you can't do things like that. So the harmony within the Sangha, or harmony between monks and people really respect the Sangha. Now that is one of the most important things for harmony. So for me, I've got to make sure that myself and all my monks are good monks. So we don't oppress anybody. We don't give anybody a hard time. I know that you can do that by living very simply. We do live very simply. And those of you who come to see our monastery, how simple the place where we stay. Especially, you're all welcome to come into my private quarters. And many of you have been into where I live and meditate, which is a small cave. It's almost like a dome, 3 meters in diameter. That's all. That's where I live. There's hardly anything there. And I like showing people that that's where I live. That's where I hang out. That's where I meditate. It's nice and simple. But what do you have these big houses for? And I don't know why it is that people they want to get a bigger apartment in a condo or get a big mansion to live in. That's very stupid. You don't need to do that. Because also, you lose harmony in your family. Somebody sent me an article about 2 years ago. And the article from one of the newspapers in Britain was titled, "Honey, I Can't Find the Kids." And the story behind that headline was a woman in United Kingdom won the British lottery. £47 million. How much is that in million? It's a lot. And one of the first things he did was buy a big mansion in the beautiful countryside of Sussex. A gorgeous home. And after 12 months, she sold that mansion. And she lost a lot of money selling it. And she bought a small apartment instead. And why did you do that? Why did you sell your dream home for going back to a small apartment? Because, she said, in that big mansion, I could never find my kids. They were in the west wing. My husband was in the east wing. I was in the wherever it was. It was such a huge mansion. You never met anybody. And she was so lonely. And she realized big houses destroy families. And I met many people. You know, those people who are like my age and older. Where you grew up, how many people in your bedroom? Sometimes half a dozen. You can never escape from anybody. Nowadays, your kids have their own room, which means you never see them and they never see you. They never see each other either. Which means we lose that family, that closeness, that love. It comes from being all put together in that small place where for the years we grow up. So you see, you don't need a big houses and sometimes affluence. And that's one of the great causes of disharmony, especially in the family. So those of you who do live in big houses, downsize. Sell them and get small apartments. And the difference, you can give a donation to No, you don't have to give any difference, but it's just good for your happiness and your harmony. Because when we meet each other very regularly, when we mix, of course, there's always mutual understanding and love. Yeah, we have arguments, that's part of love. You can't have love without an argument. You tell me a family which doesn't have an argument. Monasteries have arguments too. You know what happens when we have an argument? Whoever it is, doesn't matter who, the wise one is the one who says sorry first. And when we say sorry, we actually bow. It doesn't matter who's the senior, who's the junior. We bow to the other person. We say, look, I lost it. Whatever I've done, body, speech or mind, I really ask forgiveness. I shouldn't have done it. That's actually how we do it. Actually, I did that once with Ajahn Brahm, who was the senior monk at that time. You know, my sort of my ideas of trying to influence him psychologically, I think I'd done it too many times and he understood what I was up to. So it didn't work anymore. And our meditation hall at Bodhiana Monastery, those of you who've been there, I never wanted to build it that way at all. I thought we could build it a much better way. I had an argument with the other from 1 week. And after 1 week, sometimes you come to your senses. Why am I doing this for? Creating such disharmony in a community of monks. We have to live with each other. So this is no exaggeration. I went to his room. He was expecting another argument. Instead, I had a tray of flowers and incense. And I bowed to him and I said, look, I'm sorry, I should never have argued with him. And he was really taken aback. It's a wonderful thing. And I said, well, I'm going to ask for something from you in return. Number one, I want to build it your way. And please give me permission to be the builder. And I did that because I thought it was a wonderful gesture of harmony, of selflessness, of compassion, the sort of thing which a monk should do. I didn't agree with it. To this day, I think I could have built it much cheaper and much better, but that wasn't the point. It was more important that I practice harmony. I'm not just saying, please, let's do it your way. I want to be the one who does that, to build it your way. And I did that. It took a year or two. My name was on the building license for the main hall then. I built it. And that's what creates harmony and peace in life. And that's inspiring. That's the sort of thing which the Sangha should be doing. It should be a symbol of harmony and of inspiration. Not just harmony within its own little group, but harmony in the world as well. Now, one of the most inspiring stories I read about monks, sometimes you read nasty stories about monks misbehaving, but there's many monks who do amazing things. There was this one monk in Sri Lanka a few years ago, and he was like a blood donor, like many monks are. Sometimes we think, well, it's not my blood. You feed me. You give me all the tea, chocolate, food, fish and chips, or whatever else you give me. So the blood comes from you. So I should give it back again. So many monks are blood donors, and he was a regular blood donor. But also, if you're a blood donor, in many countries you can actually offer to be an organ donor as well. I'm an organ donor. I haven't given anything yet. But I've got the little card there. And actually, I was looking for other organs as well. So I was telling people that when I was teaching a retreat last weekend in the Genting Highlands, not in the casino, in the little temple down below, that I had an itchy nose. I suffer from hay fever, and every now and again the nose gets itchy and gets stuffed up. And nothing cures it. So I was wondering whether one day I could get nose transplant. They can transplant everything else, so I'm sure that you can have nose transplant as well. And once I decided to have nose transplant, then I started to think, what type of nose did I want? And what my preference would be, if one is available, because I live in Australia, to have an indigenous, an aboriginal nose. So I have a black nose in front of a white face. That would be very cool. And it would just show that I have no distinction between races. But some people say, well, no, you go to Singapore, you go to Malaysia, why can't I have a Chinese nose? Wouldn't it be amazing to have a Chinese nose on an Anglo face? Anyway, that would be a great symbol of harmony. You're not just talking about it, you're doing it. So any of you who need a transplant, if your ear falls off, or get a black ear, or a red Indian ear, or something different. It'd be really cool, it'd be a fashion statement. But anyway, back to this part. He was contacted by the health department. There was a person who needed a kidney. Otherwise, they would actually die. And there was a perfect match. You know, the blood, whatever it was. You know, it's very hard to find a match. He said, you match this person, but there's one problem. He said, you're a Buddhist monk. And this man is a born-again Christian who's converting all your followers to being a Christian. What do you think? Would you give your organ? And he said, without any hesitation, he said, of course, I don't care who he is. If he needs my kidney, he has it. So this Buddhist monk, he gave his kidney to an evangelical Christian, so that pastor could carry on converting the Buddhists. You know, there's something really beautiful about that. Selfless, and that's the sort of thing which inspires you. You know, as a Buddhist, we have loving kindness, compassion to all beings without distinction. And that's what is inspiring. And when you have a Sangha which is inspiring like that, of course you have harmony. People want to look after you and care for you, because that is just our relationship between the Sangha and the lay people and the Sangha. Sometimes I wonder, why did the Buddha not allow us to buy our own food and to cook it, and then every day I'd get what I like to eat? Instead, you think you know what I like, and you try and cook it. Sometimes you do cook spaghetti, but it's Malaysian style. Once I went to Toronto, and Sri Lankan family were giving me my lunch. And I said, oh, Sri Lankan curry, give me sore tummy, please have compassion. You know what Sri Lankan curries are like? They're really hot, spicy, and oily. And they said, okay, so we'll make you an English dish. Shepherd's pie. Have you had shepherd's pie before? It had potato on top and has some sort of stuff underneath. And when they gave it to me, I thought, wow, I can eat this. But when I got underneath the potato, underneath was Sri Lankan curry. And I had to eat it. They spent so much time cooking it for me. So that's the trouble of being a monk. But anyhow, why did the Buddha let us do this? Why did he let us grow vegetables in our monastery? And so we don't need you. We can just do everything ourselves. I'm a big monk now. I don't need to have you come every day and cook for me and give me stuff. But then I realized that in, say, Christian monasteries, they are self-sufficient. And by that self-sufficiency, they're actually saying, we don't need anybody. Yeah, they're self-sufficient, but they're very lonely. The Buddha's message saying, monks, you have to be dependent of everything from your later quarters. You have to be intentionally, deliberately dependent. We need you. And that is a very beautiful gesture of the importance of compassion, of interdependence. A monk like me saying, I cannot live without each one of you. You are needed. Sometimes we always think that we can do things ourselves better. If someone asks to cook for you, let them. Even if they're a terrible cook, and they're going to give you shepherd's pie with Sri Lankan curry. That's not the point. The point is they're doing something kind and compassionate, and they need to do that. So you must, in life, understand from this is almost like a symbol. Monks, I can be independent, I'm strong enough, I'm wise enough, but I deliberately, because of the Buddhist rules, say no, I'm independent. I need you. Which means we start this beautiful, compassionate relationship. If I could call myself, I wouldn't be here. If I could start businesses, at the retreat I was having all these amazing ideas for new businesses in Kuala Lumpur. First of all, how difficult is it to come to a temple for you? To take the time off, it's a long way, you have to sacrifice so much to come here. So why don't we take a leaf out of McDonald's and have drive-through monasteries and temples? So when you drive through, there's a big menu, and the menu is number one, chanting. Is it chanting because exams coming up, chanting for ill health, chanting for your deceased relations, chanting to get the girl you really love? There's a little button, and then you get the chanting straight away. Perfect chanting, all ready for you. If you like counselling, marriage counselling, you've got husband counselling, depression, whatever else, you can press the button and you get some, two bad bricks in the wall story, or open the door of your heart, whatever it is, you just press the button and it gets there straight away. If you want holy water blessing, you press the button and little nozzle straight away. And once you've made your choice and you get what you want, you go to the next counter and you give in your ang pao. Finish, nice and quick, very convenient. I'm not Buddhas. So I'd have been very wealthy. Even I tell people, I mean, meditation cushions. Have you ever done meditation and the cushion's never comfortable? You're always trying to get it this way and that way to try and make it. Now imagine that you had all these buttons on the cushion to inflate it this way, inflate it that way, another button to give you a massage. If it's too cold, you can have warm it up. If it's too hot, you cool it down. If you get too much tiredness when you're meditating, because a lot of people fall asleep, another button, you have instant cup of coffee. High-tech meditation cushions. You can make a fortune. So I have all these great ideas to make money, but I can't do that because I'm a monk. And it's much nicer being a monk because by being totally helpless, I can't do anything for myself, which means I need each one of you. Isn't that beautiful? Because I notice when people come and give some food for you, or they give you a cup of tea, or they pick you up from the airport, they get so much fun out of it. There's so much fun helping others. The trouble is, there's not enough people to help. You're so efficient, so independent, so I don't need anybody, I can do it myself, people. So one of the symbols of being a Buddhist monk is we deliberately say, no, we need you. Help us. Deliberately help us. That's what monk is. Which means we have this beautiful connection where people serving one another. And in return, we live by example, we teach by example, so to inspire you. And you can come to a monk and it's always like, hopefully, a happy monk. Everywhere else you go in KL, people are miserable. You go to work and people are miserable. You go to the shopping centre and people are miserable. Everywhere you go, no one is smiling and happy. So that's what you come to the temple for smiling practice. So this is sometimes, and it's not just learning how to be happy, but just all this amazing counselling which the monks give. I always say that monks are the best counsellors. You know why? Because we're cheap. You get the best advice and you don't give anything because we don't need those, so we give it for free. It's wonderful, but actually we don't give it for free anymore. Because years ago, a lady called one of our monks and said, it's an American lady, wasn't a Buddhist, and said, I hear you teach meditation. Because meditation is very popular, it solves all sorts of problems. I hear you teach meditation. And the monk said, yes, I teach meditation. I'm actually quite a well-known meditation teacher. And then she said, how much do you charge? He said, nothing, it's for free. And she replied, it's for free, you don't charge. You can't be any good then. And she hung up the phone. That's what happens in our modern world. If you don't charge, it can't be worth anything. Many people tell me that my stories and all these motivational talks are much better than Anthony Robbins. Why do they go to Anthony Robbins? Because they think, wow, $10,000 each person? That must be good. Stupid. So instead, we never say it's for free anymore. This talk is not for free. Oh, yeah, there's no entrance fee, but you have to pay to get out. But when people say, how much do you charge? Nowadays you always say, the talk is priceless. It's a wonderful saying, priceless. That's why you don't charge anything for it. It's priceless, and it's really true. The sorts of things which you hear in a temple like this are priceless. You can't put a value on it. So, free, priceless. And when you do things like that, it really inspires people. And all the most important things that you do in your life, and the way you love each other, care for each other, what you do to your kids if you're a mother or a father, can you put a cost on that? Raising a kid, the amount of time sacrificing, looking after them, clothing them, feeding them, that's priceless. And it should always be priceless. The best things in life are priceless. Don't say free. Priceless. Because free means they're not worth anything. Priceless means they're way up there beyond any sort of monetary value. And it's great having that put inside the economic part of your brains, which you're always trying to put a value on things. This is out of the universe as far as value is concerned, it's priceless. And that's what really inspires people. That's what creates harmony. First of all, the inspiration, you think, wow, these monks, where do you monks get this from? That's the other fascinating thing about the Sangha. People come to me for marriage advice, and I give good marriage advice. Even this afternoon, I was supposed to be resting, a couple came for marriage counselling. And it works. I get them together again. How on earth does that happen? When I've been a celibate monk for the last 40 years, I've never been married. What do I know about marriage? But nevertheless, you get excellent advice. It's weird, isn't it? Even in business, I get invited to teach in business schools. Much of my stuff you actually find on Harvard Business School blog. There's one professor, she's got tenure at MIT, an economics professor. She teaches people from Wall Street. Every marriage retreat, she comes and spends 2 months at my monastery. That's a vacation. And I teach her how to manipulate Wall Street. You won't realize that Wall Street actually. You know how Wall Street works? There's a new book of mine coming out. This is one of my stories. There was a monastery in the north of India. This is economics, and this is how well we understand economics. There was a monastery in the north of India, and the old abbot died, and they elected a new abbot. Very wise but quite young monk. It's very cold in the north of India. So when it came about this time of year, winter was approaching, the monks asked the abbot, can you please foretell what the weather's going to be like this winter? Is it going to be cold or mild? And the abbot, thinking, my goodness, I should know these things. I'm their teacher. He took a chance and said, according to my meditation, I think it's going to be a cold winter. So all the young monks started collecting more fire. And he thought, my meditation's not that good. Maybe I made a mistake. Let's check. So he got on his mobile and he rang the weather bureau. He got put up through to the professor, anonymous call. He said, what's the weather going to be like? This is about 2 or 3 days after he told the monks. what's the weather going to be like in this part of India? And the professor said, according to the science, it looks like being a very cold winter. So the next day he told his monks, my meditation has told me it's going to be very cold. Collect more wood. And so those poor monks spent all weeks collecting lots and lots of wood. And then he thought, I better make sure. He rang the professor of the meteorological department again. And he said, are you actually sure it's going to be a cold winter? He said, the signs are getting much worse. It's going to be extremely cold. From the signs, it's going to be one of the coldest winters ever. So the next day he told the monks, forget all your other duties. Collect even more firewood from wherever. My meditation has told me this is going to be one of the coldest winters ever in this part of India. So they collected heaps of wood. And he thought, maybe he's going over the top. So he called the professor a third time, anonymously. He said, are you sure it's going to be a very cold winter? I said, yes. The signs are showing an extremely cold winter. How do you know? Said the monk. And the professor said, not knowing who was calling, because all the monks in the monastery are collecting. That's how Wall Street works.
That is true. The stock market's going.
It's following stupid people. But anyhow, so I teach this to economics professors, and it's really good wisdom. So you can understand, this makes sense. How come a monk knows all this stuff? This is one of the great things about the Sangha. We live outside of the box, which is why we can think outside of the box. You live in the box. That's why it's very hard for you to think outside of it. For monks, we live outside. It's a different lifestyle, a different way of looking. So we can actually see things which you guys can't. You can see things which we can't. We combine together. It's amazing what we can do together. The same with the lay people looking after each other. You feed us, we teach you. And it works. You see, all the years I've been teaching here in Malaysia, see how many people come in here and how wise and happy you become? So my teachings work for you. And all the years I've been coming to Malaysia, you see how fat I've become? It works the other way. Well, that's why we have this harmony between things. But please remember just what I've been saying. That in the family, in the workplace, it doesn't matter who's right and who's wrong. You don't know if you're right or wrong. It's only small stuff, chickens or ducks. It's not worth arguing over. Harmony is more important. And if you do have to make any decisions, talk it over and give way to the majority. The majority is likely to be right. At the very least, you would harmony with one another. And if you do make a mistake, it doesn't matter. Mistakes are where we learn and grow from. So harmony is so important. If you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Even if it is the end of the world, you get reincarnated again. So it's very hard to have an end of the world in Buddhism. You keep going round and round. Even universes go round and round. This is not the first universe. We have many universes before, many universes afterwards. Big bangs come and big bangs go. This is Buddhism and also theoretical physics as well. So you don't need to argue about too many stuff. And even with Christians, if there's any Christians here, I don't argue with Christians. Recently, a Christian said to me, nothing is better than God. And I said, yeah, I agree with you. Nothing. Emptiness. Second, have harmony. You can always find a way. I can joke like that. One of my mates, my friends, he was a Catholic abbot. And he lived in this old monastery in the north of Western Australia. It's about 150 years old. That's pretty old for Australia. It's very old buildings. So I asked him one day, are there any ghosts in this monastery? And he said, because old buildings, you'd expect a ghost or two to be there. Ghosts don't like new apartments, they like the old ones. And so, and he goes, he said, no, Catholics don't believe in ghosts. He fell into my trap. What about the Holy Ghost then? This is how you have fun with one another. You know that happiness and laughter is one of the greatest ways of harmony. If you tell a funny story, everybody laughs. So again, you know that sometimes, it doesn't matter what race or religion you're in, sexual orientation, tell a funny story, everybody laughs. You find that you get together with laughter. That's why I do tell funny stories to make you laugh. It's not just for the high, because it releases endorphins in your bloodstream. It's an immune system booster. It takes away pain, but it also brings this beautiful sense of harmony. So we have a lot of laughs in our monastery. You know, some of them, I won't repeat to you. No, we didn't know this about big things. I'll repeat one. It's a bit on the edge, but I don't mind pushing the envelope a few times. You know, in Australia, we've got one of the TV shows called Bananas in Pajamas. You seen that one? And so we thought of a new one, Bikinis in Bikinis. Don't be gross. It's very funny. Anyway. So when you laugh, you create harmony. You have the harmony between the monks and the nuns and the lay community. That's a very beautiful thing. So you get good monks, good lay people doing the thing which we're supposed to be doing. You do your duties, we do our duties. We need each other. We actually mentioned that there is interdependence. Deliberately, you can't live on your own. You may think you can. You may try and be a hermit, but even hermits need to come out every now and again and get a bowl of food. So this is the beautiful way that we do make a family. Husbands and wives, children and parents, monks and lay people, bosses and subordinates. If you know how this works and how to use it, it can become a very fulfilling, a very warm, and very enriching relationship. So this is the harmony between the monks, nuns, and the lay community. I don't know if that's what I was supposed to talk about, but that's what you've got. So, any questions? Thank you. Yes?
Mahayana, they talk of the Mahayana tradition, they talk of Theravada. What's the difference between Theravada and Mahayana?
Okay, the difference between Mahayana and Theravada. One of my very good friends, Venerable Kwakshe, he's the abbot of Pokaksi Komeng-san Temple, the biggest temple over in Singapore. He's the head of the Buddhist Federation of Singapore. And he calls me Ajahn Brahm, the Theravada monk with the Mahayana heart. You know, there's no difference. So basically, that sometimes I remember meeting another nun, Venerable Yifa. So, you know, she's very outspoken. Some of my monks call her Yiha. Don't tell her that. Venerable Yifa. And she came to a conference which I ran in Perth a few years ago, and afterwards, because I was organising it, I said thank you at the very end to make sure she got sent off at the airport, because she was one of the guests. And I asked her afterwards, I said, how many disciples have you got? She said, I've got none. I just stayed by myself. And I said, you're supposed to be calling yourself a bodhisattva, a Mahayana. I said, I'm more Mahayana than you have. I've got thousands of disciples. Said, yes, you are Mahayana, I'm Hinayana. So when it comes down to it, look at how Theravada monks practice. What do you know about Woon out there? Still out there looking after everybody. He's a bodhisattva, he's compassionate, he cares about everybody, makes sure everything is okay in here. So compassion is not exclusive to any part of Buddhism. Am I a selfish monk? So am I Mahayana or Hinayana, whichever? I'll tell you what I am. You got it. Don't rush too high. I want to try and combine all the three traditions. Hinayana, Mahayana and Vajrayana. The hate from Hinayana, the aha from Mahayana, and the yana from Vajrayana. What does that spell? That's right, Mahayana. That's my big. So look, there's no difference. On the surface, scholars who don't know what they're talking about think there's a difference. In practice, there's absolutely no difference. There's only one Buddha. Was the Buddha Theravada, Mahayana, or Vajrayana? He was a Buddha. So all these things come afterwards.
So it's the kind of Nibbana or Bodhicitta?
They're both. Bodhicitta is part of the way to Nibbana. So people who try and separate these paths out, I get very upset about them. There's no separation. We're doing the same thing. There's only one Buddha. And you look in practice, we all do the same. So please, no distinction or differentiation. Are women better than men? Or men better than women? We make all these distinctions in our world. And I'm not going to stand for any distinction between men and women in the Sangha, or any distinction between Mahayana, Hinayana, Theravada, or Vajrayana, or any other yana. All welcome, equally, without any differentiation or distinction. The only distinction I ever make between men and women is when I go into the toilet. Other than that, we won't. So that's very important. Here we go. During the last thought moment upon death, people have vision of pleasant and unpleasant places. Where would the person be reborn? You can choose. Where do you want to go? You know, these days you can see the TV, you can see all these different places, you can go and visit on holiday. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Afghanistan? Have an adventure holiday? Or would you rather come to Australia? Or go to some beautiful beach in some Maldives or somewhere? Where do you want to go? If you have the resources, you can go wherever you want. That's exactly what happens when you die. Where you get reborn depends on two things. Number one, where you want to go. Number two, whether you've got the means, the karma to get there. Those two. And it's amazing, even though people have got very good karma, they think because of guilt, they need to go to some lower realm and get punished. Simply because of guilt. That's one of the reasons why in Buddhism we don't agree with guilt. Let it go, forgive yourself. Forgive all others as well. When you learn how to forgive, and you don't carry around guilt, you never feel you need to be punished, which means in the last 4 months, you never go to a lower realm. That's actually how it is. It's amazing how silly people are. Yeah, you've done a bad thing. You made a mistake. You never forgive yourself, which means you punish yourself. You create all sorts of harm, especially when you die. So don't do that. Two, why do people see scary things, an image when they're about to die? Because you spend all your life looking at scary things. You would like nothing more than to listen to a ghost story. That's why many times, I'm not going to tell one tonight, many times I've asked people to turn the lights off, I'll tell a ghost story. You love that stuff, don't you? Even I just gave a retreat just this afternoon, finishing, in the Tree Sui Temple, just in Genting Highlands. And on the casino, on the top of the hill, we saw this big advertisement, Halloween Scary Ghosts. Sorry? Halloween Scary Spirits. That was a show which people pay a fortune to go and see. Why would you want to go and see things which scare the heck? I shouldn't say that. Scare the thing out of you. But people do. You like being scared. That's why these images come up. Oops, I better carry on quickly. Otherwise I'm in trouble. What's the difference between rebirth and reincarnation? Nothing much. No difference. When one practices anapanasati, does one focus one's attention on the whole breath in the beginning, middle, and end of the breath, as described in the Anapanasati Sutta, or at the tip of the nose, as described in the Visuddhimagga, which is the right way? Okay, this is meditation. Many people focus their attention on the tip of the nose. When I first came to Malaysia many years ago, all the meditators were complaining about meditation headache. What are you talking about? Meditation is supposed to get rid of stress, not create more stress. And after a few years, I figured out what you were doing. I take my glasses off to demonstrate this because when you're focusing on the tip of the nose, when you're meditating, you've got your eyelids closed. But imagine, this time I've got my eyelids open, I'm focusing on the tip of my nose. This is what my eyes do as I begin to focus on the tip of my nose. I go cross-eyed. Keep looking like this for half an hour. I am going to get meditation headache. This is one of the reasons why we tell people do not focus on the tip of your nose. Otherwise you get headaches. You focus on the breath, not on the nose. It's not nose meditation. Okay, that sounds funny because I'm just entertaining, but that is really important. Please don't focus on the nose, focus on the breath. Get the breath activity. If this is not the only universe and we're not alone, can we be reborn as aliens? Have any of you ever been to Heathrow Airport? I went there and I couldn't believe what I saw. They had, one of the channels going into the country was for EU citizens, and the other one was for aliens. There's many aliens. Who knows, maybe you can be reborn as aliens. More importantly, can aliens be reborn as us? Now that explains some people you know. Maybe some members of the Malaysian government. Seriously, you get reborn where you think you belong. So if you're Malaysian, and you associate with being Malaysian, you're likely to be reborn back here again. Which is where you think you belong. Which is mine, if any Malaysian goes and lives in the United States, and that's, they take on that culture, that's who they associate with, of course they get reborn there, because that's, even if they come back and die in Malaysia, where you think you belong, that's where you get reborn. Can Ajahn explain more details on how you'll solve marriage problems among laymen, because Ajahn never have experienced marriage? It's so easy, because it's just relationships. We all have relationships, no matter with who. Of course, a lot of times, number one is pride. Who is the boss in the marriage? That's why I did a Thai marriage ceremony recently, and according to Thai culture, they have a simile that before you get married, you're two separate beings with two legs each. But once you get married, you're like an elephant with 4 legs. One animal with 4 legs. He said, according to Thai culture, the man is the front legs, the women are the back legs, but the Thai elephant walks backwards. For show, the man is in front, but in practice, what happens inside the house? Who walks first? Little similes like that. But the most important simile for marriage, and this works every time. In a marriage, when I marry people, people are always soft and gooey when they get married, so they listen to anything I say. And I usually look at the bride first of all. This beautiful girl, usually in white wedding dress, biggest day of her life. And I look at her and said, from today on, you're a married woman. So you must not think of yourself from this day on. She always nods. Yes, I won't think of myself anymore. No. And then I look at the man, the groom. I say the same thing to him. From this moment on, you're a married man. You must not think of yourself either. And in Australia, the man always pauses for a couple of seconds to think it over. It's true. But they always agree, yes, okay, I won't think of myself. Still looking at the man, I said, now you're married, you must not think of her, your wife, anymore. Then I turn to her and say, you must not think of him, your husband. And they get totally confused. And then I tell them the truth about the relationship. Once you're married, you must never think of yourself, nor must you think of your partner. From this day on, you must only think of us. The third option, totally different. Your marriage fails if you're either selfish or you just sacrifice. Either way, it's not a marriage. So you don't sacrifice for others, nor do you are selfish. In a marriage, you don't think of me, you don't think of him or her, you only think of us. So if there's any problem in a relationship, whose problem is it? Ours, yes. It's not her problem. It's not his problem. It's not my problem. It's our problem. Then you can solve it very easily. Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, you don't see that at first. The monk sees that because we live outside the box. What do you think about human disturbed by black magic or spiritual stuff? Well, there's a solution. Instead of doing good things, charity, meditation, etc., why most Buddhist monks just ignore, don't know what to do? I know what to do. Black magic. Black magic, number one, is very, very, very rare. And black magic is very easily countered by brown magic. So get a monk involved. With any real black magic is when you get some demon, some lower being, you hire them to cause trouble to somebody else. Monks have got far more power. They're just the tigers in the forest, and these are just little mouse. We can just get rid of this. Get out of here! Who do you think you are? Out! Well, that doesn't work. You can get monks like me to do some chanting. My chanting is so bad and out of key that the ghosts and spirits, oh no, I can't take this any longer, and they run away. No, it's just, remember just who's got the more power. Who do you think's got more power? It's obvious monks have. So if there really is real black magic, just get the monks involved. Don't just get rid of that. Brown magic, please, black magic. Okay, so it's very, very rare. When one practices, since we are made up of Nama Rupa, that's mind and body, and we believe in no self, what is it, people? It's just a stream of consciousness, just continues on. This is deep question, the best answer. Imagine you eat a mango, and you take the seed and plant it in your garden, and you can see the seed split and a little green shoot come up as it germinates. And you can maybe see that little green shoot poke above the soil for the first time, just like a blade of grass. You don't know the difference at first. But that little shoot grows higher and higher, gets thicker and thicker, and doesn't grow green anymore, it turns into wood. So little sapling grows, and you see the sapling grow every day, bigger and bigger and bigger. And after a few years, you have a small tree, and that little tree grows bigger and bigger until it becomes quite a large tree. And then for the first time, you see the little flowers on the mango tree, and they get pollinated. And at the roots of those flowers, you see they're getting fatter and fatter as the first fruit starts to come. And when that fruit is ripe, you pluck that new mango and eat it. What went across from the first mango to the new mango? There's a connection there. Every step of the process, you can see cause and effect, cause and effect. And that's exactly the same from one life to another. You can see the connection all the way from the previous life to this life. with nothing going across, except some calming. If that original mango was very sweet, the new mango is likely to be very sweet too. If the old mango was drought resistant, the new mango will probably carry that characteristic as well. You can see the conditioning is what goes with us. Is it true there are living beings beyond Earth? Even here in KL, it's very hard to see a human being. All I ever see is human goings. Never a human being. You're always going somewhere and doing something. Are you ever being here? So why not try and become a human being here? Just be here. Instead of always going somewhere else. Living beings beyond us. Aliens. E.T. The truth is out there. That's X-Files. There are many monks selling things. I believe they should not be in practice. Are they bogus monks? Can authorities stop them? It's helpful to clear this monk's reputation. What do they sell? Beads? Oh, you can get them much cheaper in the supermarket. What else do they sell? Amulets? Amulets don't work! Stupid people buy amulets. Okay to get a little amulet just to remind you of the Buddha, but if you think they're going to make you pass your examinations, if you fail, ask for your money back. You know, this was a newspaper article, it reached Australia. A general in the Thai army, this was maybe 20 years ago, a general in the Thai army bought a medallion for $500,000 US, for $500,000, because this amulet will protect you from bullets. And if in the army, it's an important thing to have, protection from bullets. He was in the mess one night after dinner, drinking alcohol, of course, and he was boasting about his $500,000 US amulet. And when one of his junior officers didn't believe him, the general ordered the major to take out his revolver and shoot him, to prove that his amulet protected him from bullets. And of course, the junior officer had to follow orders. He took out the revolver and shot the general, and the general died. So much for that amulet. That's absolutely silly. That's why my teacher, Ajahn Brahm, would never give out amulets, not even for free. Except once. Once this man came up to him and said, I've been drafted into the Thai army. Can you give me a little Buddha to wear around my neck to protect me from bullets? Ajahn Brahm said, no, I don't do that. And that's when the man said, the last talk you gave was on gratitude. I've been feeding you, looking after you. This is the first thing I've ever asked from you. Gratitude, give me. So Ajahn Brahm said, okay. Okay, for once I'll give you a Buddha you can wear around your neck, which I guarantee will protect you from bullets. Sadhu, sadhu, he said, where is it? He said, it's that big 3-meter high Buddha statue. You wear that around your neck, that's the only thing. So the only way to stop that problem, if monks are selling things, is don't buy them. Stupid people buy such things. So remember, harmony, it's up to you to keep the monks honest as well as us to keep you honest as well. So if you see a bogus monk with an alms bowl in the market looking for cash, don't give them any. Because that's not what a monk is supposed to be doing. Call the police. If you don't want to do that, get the stinkiest, greasiest of curries and pour it all over their banknotes.
That's pretty big.
But no, just call the police, because that is illegal, and the police in Malaysia know about that, and they will chase them away. They're not monks. But good monks don't do that. The good monks don't sell things. We just give them away, because they are priceless. In the Majjhimaka school established by Nagarjuna, he seeks to explain the truth of emptiness, or the unreality of all elements of existence. What he actually is saying is that Sangha is the same as Nibbana, or are we empty? What is your view of this? What Nagarjuna did, that's not the Majjhimaka. It was based on one of the great suttas in the Pali Nikayas, and it's a very deep teaching, a very beautiful teaching. It says you can't say there is nothing, because an arisings. You can't say that nothing exists. You're listening to this talk, you feel your body, an arising of perception. It's obvious. You can't say there's nothing. You can't say there is something persisting, because you can see everything falling away. It ceases, it's anicca. So there's a middle way. That's what Majjhimaka means, the middle way. You know what that middle way was? Cause and effect, get origination. That was the original teaching of Nagarjuna. He wasn't starting a new branch of Buddhism. He was re-establishing basically the Buddhism of the Nikayas back again. Have a look at it, it's quite clear. I'm a committee chairman. I try to maintain harmony as a leader, but some of my committee tend to take advantage of my purpose for harmony and cause trouble. What is your advice to me to achieve harmony and move the committee forward? Don't be a leader. And management. In other words, you're part of a team. So when you're part of a team, you're no bigger, no better than anyone else in that team. Then you can learn how to work together. Even the legs of a centipede. 100 legs, but they all can work in harmony together. It's amazing to see that. So you've got 2 legs and sometimes you trip over things. 100 legs, it's amazing. They've got 100 legs, but they said that. So the way to do that is, again, for you to work as a team. Maybe 10 people in a committee, got one voice, one mind, one good mission. As long as you can inspire people, great leaders are those who motivate. They're not people who lead by telling them what to do. You motivate people. In other words, you make the mission quite clear. You motivate people with such great goals as selflessness. You're not in this for becoming the committee president and getting your name on the board, or getting accolades, or being invited to great functions. That's not why you're on the committee. You're there to serve. And you're there to articulate the mission of that society, to spread Buddhism, not to spread yourself. So this way that when we articulate the mission of selflessness, compassion, service, harmony, if that's the main mission, that's your job, to inspire people to that. Then harmony just comes as a natural result. But when you want to lead by telling other people what to do, you're just like any other boss. There's so many of them around who always think they know the best. Such people are the cause of this harmony, not the solution. Inspire, motivate. Look, there's that great story of the Chinese Art of War, of the general in the Imperial Chinese Army who had perfect discipline. I always remember this, because I'm a leader in that sense. And one day the Emperor summoned this general and said, "What is your secret? Why do your soldiers always follow your orders while other soldiers don't?" And the general said, "My soldiers always follow my orders because I only ever tell them to do what they want to do. Imagine, does your son, your daughter, your kid always follow the orders, what you want them to do? Imagine you tell your kid, go and watch computer games on the TV. Don't do your homework. Don't tidy up your room. Then your kids will have perfect discipline, won't they? If you tell a person what they want to do, of course they will follow orders. But then the emperor said, well look, now your soldiers get up early in the morning to train. They can go into battle even though they're going to get badly hurt, maimed or even killed. How do you get them to do that? He said, because I motivate them. I motivate them so much that they can't wait to get up in the morning. I motivate them so much. When I give the order to go to battle, they can't wait. They just want to do that. Which is why I only tell them to do what they want to do. Because I've motivated them beforehand. That is the secret of discipline. Any discipline which I have with my monks in Bodhinyana Monastery, they only do what I ask them to do. So I've already taught them, inspired them, motivated them to do these things. So I just say, get up in the morning. Yes, we can't wait to get up early in the morning. So the secret of discipline is always motivation. If you as a parent can motivate your kids to study, then you don't need to keep harassing them or punishing them. You just tell them to do what they really want to do. That's the secret of discipline. My nephew hopes to be a policeman when he grows up. He may need a shotgun. He may need to shoot or gun down robbers, thieves, criminals. Will he be punished or having bad karma for killing all these people? No, he can be a traffic policeman. Make a lot of money in traffic policeman. There's some people that volunteer for all that stuff. They think it's exciting until they get shot. Why are you named Ajahn Brahm? Wow, that's a very deep question. The reason is Brahm, it means B for Buddhist, R for Roman Catholic, A for Anglican, H for Hindu, M for Muslim, Brahm. If you're Jewish, I apologize. How to remember what I've learned in everything by practicing it. So if you just listen and you go home and you don't practice what I've said, then it vanishes from you. But if what you hear, which is good, you practice, you do it, then it gets stuck inside your character. Thinking or even listening doesn't work. Fantasy, doing, does work. Last question from me. You know, how old do you have to be to retire in Malaysia? 55. 60, well I'm 62. I'm retiring, good luck. Okay, well, 3 more questions. How do you stop rape? Thank you. Great question. Number 1, empower women. Empowering, because I remember reading people who get raped. And this is also men get raped too. It's not that many. And they freeze. They think they haven't got any power to do anything. They become too submissive and afraid. So it's a really weird psychology of people who get raped. So first of all, empower yourself. Empowering means you can take more control of the situation sometimes. And actually many occasions it's like that. And number 2, again, to tell men that that's totally unacceptable. Some men, these are just the old-fashioned men, think that women are just playing hard to get. Some men think like that still. So when she says no, they think, oh, she doesn't really mean it. That's just what she's saying. So men, if she says no, she means no. Okay? So that means that the men understand that any sex has to be consensual. So that consensual part is so important. And of course, the other thing to stop rape in many societies is there has to be consequences. So I know because most police are men, sometimes that women don't get a fair hearing. Fortunately, in many countries, especially in India now, they are, after the rape cases in India, they're having all the police stations, they are hiring more women police officers. So any girl has been raped, she doesn't go to a man and say, "Oh, forget about it, it's your fault," all this other stupid rubbish which some men think. They go to a female who understands exactly what's going on, is in a position of power and authority, and can actually take the perpetrators to justice. So those are ways of stopping it. It's just a remnant from old times, from cavemen times, when as uncivilized people would go to another cave, whack somebody on the head, and drag the girl back for her to his cave, thinking that women are just property and can be owned. That's not the modern world. Cannot do it. It's bad karma. You'll get caught, and the amount of pain it causes women is huge. So women, please tell those stories so men understand just how it takes part of your heart out, and you feel so dirty afterwards, so unclean, so yucky. And it's so hard to actually to overcome that. But you know women do. If there's any women here who have suffered rape, there's probably a few in a group like this. That's how common it is. One of the psychologists in Perth who comes to my talks, she said she got the answer from me, that when she has a victim of rape, she tells them to treat him like a monster in the Emperor's palace, not get out of here you don't belong, but welcome. Opening the door of your heart to something which is so gross, so painful, so dehumanizing. I'm not trying to get rid of it, but embracing it is part of you. It's who you are. And it doesn't need to be looked upon with trying to get rid of it. Women who do that, it just shocks them. What? I mean, I'm not supposed to get rid of it? I'm supposed to embrace it? Yeah, that's what you do. And as one woman told me, because I was in my youth group, she'd been raped, and she was telling the story, and one of the other women said, "Oh, you poor thing." And this woman turned and said, "What do you mean, poor thing? Stop judging me. It's who I am, it's made me who I am. It's part of it." She'd gone the journey. She was living a beautiful, happy, wonderful life. Not denying it, it's the denial of it. That is what causes the major problems. Accepting who you are. And anyone who thinks that because you've been raped, you are damaged goods. I tell the story of the forest. If you go for a walk in a forest, and you see all the trees are perfectly straight and in line, it's not a forest, it's a plantation. But if you go to a real forest, you'll find the trees are all over the place, many leaning to the left and to the right, with branches hanging off, leaves missing, and the bark scarred. Those are natural forests, and they are beautiful. That's where people like to go for walks or picnics, where every tree is damaged. So if you are damaged goods, you have suffered the terror of the land, you belong to the beautiful trees in the forest. Welcome. That's how we overcome it. think about regret? Don't regret anything. Good, bad, who knows? Whatever happens in your life, if it's painful, if it's something you'd rather you didn't do, you learn from it. You grow from it. Every time I come here, I tell the story of treading in the dog shit. People say you monks shouldn't say the word shit. But I was telling people today that the Buddha said monks should teach in the local language. You use it at home, that allows me to. And there are many dogs in this temple, so be careful when you walk. So if you tread in the dog shit, you must never scrape it off, yet. You must take it home with you, and only scrape it off when you get to the garden and scrape it off under your mango tree. Because if you scrape it off under your mango tree, 1 year later your mangoes will be sweeter and juicier than ever before. And you must always remember when you eat that juicy sweet mango, that when the juice is running down your cheek, you must always remember what you're really eating. What you're really eating, you know what it is, it's dog shit, but it's been transformed into sweet juicy mango. Well, that's a beautiful story, which you remember that because I use the shit word. And that's why I say that, because it makes you remember it. And this is how you deal with the problems in life. You don't regret having trodden the dog poo. You don't regret it, that's wasting valuable fertilizer. You welcome it, dig it in, and you become a much better person. Do you have any tips to fresh your mind? Freshen your mind. Meditation is the best one. Sleep. Cup of tea. Anyway, last questions. What is the difference, if any, between accepting an unpleasant situation and enduring it? Accepting does mean enduring it, but sometimes unpleasant situation is something you can do about it. So don't always accept it. If there's something you can do it. If there's nothing you can do nothing. So easy. So if I've got an unpleasant situation, so I've got a headache and it doesn't go away, then you know what I do? I take aspirin. So people are really crazy. If you broke your leg, you say, oh, this is my karma to break my leg. I just got to sit here and enjoy my karma. Because if I call an ambulance, that's interfering with my karma. That's dumb and stupid, isn't it? If there's something you can do it. If there's nothing you can do, learn from it. How should we go about dealing with a mild anxiety disorder? No panic attacks, just intrusive negativity and anxious thoughts that may increase anxiety. Come into the present moment. Just be here. You're here and you're perfectly safe. You're having a wonderful time. So when you're anxious, you're missing out on the beauty of the present moment. You're not in life anymore. You can't enjoy anything. Always worried about what might happen next. Who's lurking outside the door when you go out? The monsters are going to jump after you leave. It's not going to happen. So a lot of times, panic attacks and anxiety is because you watch too many movies. You make yourself scared. So one of the things with panic attacks or anxiety, always looking at the future with negativity. So which is why that one of the words which I've invented 2 words which are in the Urban Dictionary. That's the first step for going into the main dictionaries in the English language. One of those words I invented was when people say, oh, this mindfulness business, be mindful. That is not enough. So you need compassion as well. So I invented the word kindfulness. Putting kindness together with mindfulness, and that is powerful. So kindfulness is one of the words I invented. The other one was anxiety is looking into the future with a negative mind. If you look into the future with a positive mind, that's called hope. So I said, don't worry, be hoping. And now that's in the Urban Dictionary, quoting me. So hoping, H-O-P-E-Y, the opposite of anxiety. So just hope that something nice is going to happen. A lot of times it does. So don't worry, be hoping. And how to change negative thought habits. How to change. One of the ways of changing negative thought habits is write them down on a piece of paper. So, in other words, just actualize them in a safe way. So you write down all your negative thoughts on a piece of paper. On the left-hand side, draw a line in the middle of the paper. Left-hand side, all your negative thoughts. And on the right-hand side, write all your positive thoughts. I haven't got any. Come on, you can make up a positive thought. Make up one. And then it's once you get the first positive thought, it's easy to get another positive thought. And then another positive thought. Then another, and fill out the right-hand side. So the left-hand side of the paper, all your negative thoughts. The right-hand side of the paper, make some positive thoughts. And then with a pair of scissors, cut it down the middle. Put the negative thoughts in the trash can. And keep the positive thoughts in your pocket. So every time you're negative, get out these positive thoughts which you have thought, which you have seen, and keep them with you. And that way, always put things in my positive thoughts. And always realize you can balance your mind. Negative is only one side of the piece of paper. Sometimes that's the only side of the piece of paper we read. So we force ourselves to see the other side of the piece of paper. The positive thoughts. We keep that in our pocket, in our bag, pick it up, look at it any time. That's the way you can have a positive life and be happy and be in harmony. And then when you're happy and in harmony and have no problems, I don't need to come to Malaysia anymore. I can retire at last. Okay, so that's how to live in harmony. More questions? No, okay. Bodhicitta is a good aspiration. It's the aspiration to become enlightened. Of course it is. You'll have. And what's the best way to help others? Exactly, yeah. That's why it's all the same. So it's like aspiring to be a doctor. I aspire to be a doctor so I can help all other people. But I've got to become a doctor first. I've got to go to med school. I've got to do my O-levels and A-levels and go to med school. Then I become a doctor and I can help others. The best way you can help others is to be enlightened. Very good. Now don't put off your enlightenment, that's like putting off being a doctor. I wait till all other people be doctors first, then I'll be a doctor. So no, you be a doctor and help all other beings. Okay, any questions, comments, complaints? Good, thank you, good night. So, we usually finish with any announcements? Open about the Bhikkhuni monastery. Oh, no, okay. Just make announcements. Okay, no announcements. So now we do the 3 sadhus. Ajahn Brahm style. So whatever you do, give it always an effort. That's what the kids like to come there. It's fun. You come to the temple, you learn some good teachings, you take it away, you have a happy time. It's much better than staying at home or watching the TV. So see you next time. All the best.